Hi, I'm Allison Garland. I have the great honor of working in the Littleton Elementary School District. I work with schools. I'm the Chief of School Leadership here. We've been working with Olay for I think this is our third year. And our superintendent went the first time. He was one of the first groups that went. He truly believes in understanding the culture of our students, the language of our students, so we can best serve them. So I had the great opportunity of going in the last visit last summer, and I took with me 6 other leaders in our district, and 2 of them are with us.
My name is Eric Attahini. I'm the principal at Quinton Elementary. I had, again, the opportunity to go with Dr. Garland and a colleague of mine to the right of me, and it was a wonderful, wonderful experience to go to Mexico. And I'll turn it over to you.
My name is Catherine Hornstra. I'm the assistant principal at Estrella Vista STEM Academy here in the Littleton District. And also, we are very fortunate to work for a district who is so, and a superintendent who is so passionate about us understanding the culture and language of our students and where our kids come from. And so I feel very fortunate to have this wonderful experience that was offered to us this past year.
It's really difficult to find just one, but I think about some of my biggest fears, and one of them was I was worried that I don't know any Spanish, so I was worried that the people of the city would maybe be a little frustrated or not work with me because I didn't really understand the language or be able to express my needs, but quite the opposite. So I think my biggest highlight was seeing the city of people are amazing. You walk down streets and they really try to talk with you. They'll write stuff down. They'll use their hands to talk with you because they respect the fact that you're trying to learn their language. And they're so loving. That's one of the biggest things I took away. So many parents are hugging on their kids, and generations are with these families, and they live together and they just love each other so much. So it's nice to see that love is universal, and I got to see that firsthand. One of the best cities, most loving cities I've ever seen.
For myself, this was the first time I've ever been to Mexico, so it was truly quite the experience, but I made connections. It was really the people. I am the son of African immigrants, so I really saw a lot of connections with the Mexican culture and the Ghanaian culture, which is what I grew up with. You know, food is very important, family is very important, and the church is very important. So it was wonderful to be in Mexico and make those connections, and then get to really dig in to the culture, and then also bringing that back and making those connections with my families. I feel it's funny, whenever I see our families, I always bring up the trip and my experiences there, and I speak a little bit of Spanish. And they love it. I really, truly, seems like I go from maybe a 5 out of 10 to a 11 out of 10. And so it's just a great connection that I get to experience instant with my families and my kids.
One of the things that I was so excited about when I was offered the opportunity was the fact that I was going to be able to possibly relearn the Spanish that I had learned let me see, like 16 years ago, when maybe even longer than that, when I was in high school, and I had a very solid understanding of Spanish and then lost it throughout college. And so the highlight for me was learning that language. I really felt like the instruction at Olay was very focused. They grouped us in the most amazing way, the way that I wish that we could group children here in the United States when we're talking about small group instruction and making sure we're pre-assessing them, and then teachers collaborating with each other to regroup us and make sure that we were in the best learning opportunities that we could possibly be. Through that trip, I actually regained pretty quickly all of the Spanish that I had lost over 16 plus years through not continually using it. And so for me, I really enjoy doing that, and I still really try to utilize that Spanish at any time that I can to continue to be able to communicate and collaborate with our families here in our district.
This experience really affected me personally as soon as I met my host parent, because she did not speak any English. So thank goodness I did have some colleagues with me that helped me along the way. But I think the immersion piece was the most important part, because you are fully immersed in everything. So you're able to really learn the language quickly. And like I said, I didn't have any Spanish. I've been to Mexico several times. However, I just didn't have any of it. So I was worried about learning it. But with the full immersion, you learn it so quickly. I even started to dream in Spanish, which means that I was learning the language. And it was easier than I thought, but there were some challenges I was willing to overcome. So when I'm with students, when I'm in school sites and talking to kids in classrooms and things like that, sometimes I get a blank stare, and the principal will let me know that they're a student that is ELL, an English language learner. So I'm able to use a little bit of what I learned to get them to smile and talk to me at least a little bit, and they know that we can actually speak their language as well.
Being in the class, so I have no Spanish experience at all. When I was in Canada, I learned how to speak French, so there were some similarities, but I did not know the ins and outs of Spanish. And so being in class and that vulnerability of not knowing the language, and as Ms. Hornstra said, we were grouped with people who were likability to ourselves, and building those relationships with my classmates, as well as developing that trust with my instructor to make mistakes, to laugh about them, and to grow from them. I think that was really the biggest one. And so then it made me think about our kids here, not only our ELL kids, but also our special education kids, and even our gen ed kids, that how important is trust and climate and culture and people in your classroom as you grow and learn. And it really made me make those connections, and had some really great conversations with my colleagues in the class, as well as my colleagues here when I came back.
I think that sometimes we forget how the small things in life are important. One of the things that I noticed just living with my host mom is how simple her life was, and her daily routine was something that you would see from long ago here over in the United States, and that is not present. And I actually told Dr. Garland at one point that, I realized being here that I think that we're kind of spoiled living in the United States, in the way that in that specific town we are in, the way the people lived. The people really appreciate everything that they do and everything that they create. For example, the street sweepers. We take for granted that we drive around trucks with sweepers on the bottom of them, and over there they actually have ladies and men who go out with brooms and they sweep the streets. We don't get that same type of experience when we go out of the country. I have now since been out of the country to Cabo San Lucas. And when I go to Cabo San Lucas, I see, well, the travel life is very different than what you would see through the experience that we got to see, because we actually get to see the everyday living and routines and the simplicity of living, and the gratefulness that the citizens there have for everything that they have. Everything small is important to them. So I think personally it just adjusted mind to think, of just be really grateful for what you have and the things that you accomplish, because in other areas it's very different, and others may not have those same opportunities and things that we do.
One of the rules in the district is to work with parents, so my office takes all parent concerns. And there's certain keys to success in order to work with parents successfully, and a couple of them are understanding their language and understanding their culture. So the Lay experience really helped me gain the language I need and the cultural knowledge in order to successfully work with our parents and make sure that they know that we're partners and we're here to help them. And they're really grateful that I do understand enough of their language to understand what they're going through and what they need.
Just even mentioning that we went that deep into Mexico, and then sharing with families the experience really allows you to make that instant connection with the with our families and our students, and even with staff members. And so I try to use some of the Spanish that I've learned just to greet and have some small talk with some of our monolingual parents, and they really, really appreciate even the effort that I make. Though I may make some errors when I speak with them, they are kind enough to correct me, and I try and remember that and come back the next day and speak correctly to them. But it really allows for a true opportunity to connect.
Professionally, it has really helped me not only, so it's helped me to build relationships with staff members who speak Spanish and only speak Spanish. Some of them only speak Spanish and some speak a little bit of English. And so the fact that I'm making an effort to learn the Spanish when I went there, but I'm continuing. I have multiple mentors, my custodians, mainly on my campus, that and some of the other support staff that are really helping me and pushing me and kind of quizzing me every day on whether I'm practicing my Spanish or not. In addition to those relationships that I built that I didn't have before Ole, I feel like I have stronger relationships with the students in the school. Even before traveling to do the Ole program, I was telling the students that that's what I was going to be doing over the summer, and just the excitement that they had, and they were like, you're going to have to come back and we're going to help you practice, and they were just so thrilled that I was taking an opportunity to be able to understand their culture and their language. And then in addition, their parents, the relationships that I've built with parents, when they come in, and last year I was not able to speak as much Spanish, and this year I get a lot of eyebrow raises when I'm able to say something to them and I greet them in Spanish rather than them saying something to me in English, and so I'm catching them off guard with that, but they're very excited about that. And then even going into in-depth conversations with some of the parents that I've had who have lived, or they come from Querétaro or Guanajuato, which were two of the main places that we traveled to, and just being able to have conversations of the things that they know there. And I was like, oh yeah, we learned that. I went on cultural tours, and so we can have like just real conversations about things and experiences that we've had. So it's just been amazing in building relationships with the students, parents, and staff at my school.